Most stories don't start with alarms, not with headlines or breaking news banners. The real ones, the ones that matter, usually begin with something smaller. A flicker in a hospital network. A strange moment on an empty road. A container that disappears from tracking, then quietly returns. A missed free throw that shouldn't matter, but somehow does. A weekend disrupted not by disaster, but by something no one saw coming. These aren't loud stories. They're signals buried in the noise. And tonight, we're pulling them to the surface.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mind War podcast. I'm Badger, this is Grandmaster. We got a packed show for you today. We're trying something a little different, so I'm anxious to get some feedback from you guys that are listening. I have no idea the stories he's researched, and he has no idea the stories I researched. So this could be really fun, or it could bomb. We'll see. So Grandmaster, go ahead and take it away.
All right, so we're going to do the first one we're going to go with is healthcare and the low noise data problem. Or data problem, whichever one you want to work with, right?
Healthcare.
Okay, so here we go. U.S. healthcare networks have recently conducted internal reviews after detecting unusual patterns in data activity.
Instantly, back of my neck, the hairs are kind of standing up a little because I'm thinking HIPAA, I'm thinking personal data, United Healthcare, one of the largest in the nation.
Well, here's what's kind of happening. It's not large scale, so it's like,
okay,
it's not ransomware attacks. So it's what it is it's in what the people that's investigating have described as low noise. Issue small amounts of patient data, leaving systems over extended periods of time. So they're not readily seen, but they're caught like later, when maybe they do an overhaul or an audit. Yeah. So early indications suggest the activity may be linked not to hospitals directly, but to third-party vendors. That's sketchy. These are companies responsible for billing, imaging systems, and records management. Critical services that often operate with different cybersecurity standards.
Okay, so a lot comes into play into my mind just right off the jump. We've talked about sleeper cells, we've talked about hackers, we've talked about hacktivists. What if this is on a completely different level of psychological warfare where these hackers go in, mine just a little here, mine a little here, so as not to set off red flags. But over the course of a year, now they've got 500,000 patients' information, or hospital billing information, or whatever. If our healthcare system nationwide were to shut down, I can't even fathom.
Yeah, well, the problem is, with our data moving across multiple platforms, just a small single weak point can create all this chaos and havoc. Have your billing address stuff all out there, What makes the situation notable, according to the source, is not the scale, but the subtlety of it, right? There are no widespread outages, no public disruptions, but medical data carries long-term value. Okay, it includes not just identity details, but health conditions, prescriptions, and behavioral indicators. Information that could be used in ways that are difficult to track once it leaves a system. So far, responses have remained largely internal and without a visible event to draw attention. That's part that gets you. It's not even in the news, right? The issue has stayed mostly out of public view. How?
I've got a couple different responses to how. Number one, they're scared to death.
That's the why.
Yeah,
that's the why and the how.
Number two, that increases other hackers' thoughts, they can get that.
What else can we get?
Maybe we can go in and get this.
The big question is, how much money is involved in this? It's got to be expensive or lucrative to the hacker.
Well, not just that, but think about what it's now costing United Healthcare to go back, find out where this 1 weak spot or these.
Well, do you think they're going to let you know
Absolutely.
that you've had a data breach? Come on, that's probably the problem.
Right. The whole censorship.
That's crazy.
It's scary. Okay, so my first story comes from Winter Garden, Florida. A Good Samaritan ambushed on Highway 429 in what deputies are calling a sudden and unprovoked attack. According to investigators, a driver named Hans Hamilton pulled over after spotting what appeared to be a crash. A vehicle against a guardrail, a man lying motionless in the grass. Believing he was approaching an injured motorist, Hamilton stepped out of his car.
Mistake number one.
What happened next was captured on Hamilton's Tesla cameras. The man on the ground suddenly jumped to his feet, sprinted toward Hamilton's vehicle, and leapt onto the hood, kicking through the windshield with enough force to shatter the glass. The attacker then turned his attention to Hamilton, striking him repeatedly while shouting threats, including, quote, "I'm gonna kill you." A passing driver called 911 and deputies arrived in time to pull the suspect off the victim. Hamilton suffered injuries to his head and back but survived the assault. This incident received only a single local report over the holiday weekend, and authorities have not released a motive. What began as an act of compassion nearly became a fatal trap.
So we have the name of the suspect, the victim, but not the suspect.
Not the suspect.
Well, that tells you something right there.
Right.
Okay? I'm not even going to get into that, but that tells you they're one of two things, right? So, but again, we're in the state of Florida, which has a stand your ground law, okay? But by you being a good Samaritan and leaving your eminent domain, which is your car, now you're, but obviously he must have ran back to his car because the guy jumped on his car and kicked the driver's windshield in. Well, first of all, the Teslas don't make good windshields then, but anyway, wow. I mean, no name of the suspects. Did they get the suspect?
Yes, he was arrested on the scene.
Okay, so the stay was
he's facing multiple charges, obviously. But one news channel in all of Central Florida, if you're not from Central Florida, Winter Garden is a suburb of Orlando.
Could be a hate crime. They don't like Teslas.
Could be.
Yeah, but again, I'm gonna tell you, I hate when I'm right, but it's one of two things, the person, and I don't want to say what they are, what those two things are, but that's why it's not so profound in the news. It's a script, flip a script somewhere and change the script up a little bit, and it would be like, oh my goodness,
right?
So yeah,
pretty scary that a suburb of Orlando has an incident like this happen.
It's Winter Garden,
and that's a high dollar sub.
Tesla. I mean, that's not a high dollar car, I should say, anymore. But still, I mean, it's one of those people buy those cars. Hey, look at me. Well, you got looked at, but you did a Good Samaritan thing. That's going to have people not doing Good Samaritan stuff. But if they don't know about it,
doesn't matter.
That could be a new trend.
And when I was reading the story, you made the strongest point there is in the whole story. Why'd you get out of your vehicle?
Yeah.
In 1975, 1980, 1985, would have thought nothing about it. Pulled over on the side of the road.
There's a Good Samaritan law. I mean, you got to follow that.
You had to. In 2026,
I won't get out of the car without a gun in my hand.
Right.
Let's make sure there's something wrong. So, was that the end of that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to my next one.
Okay.
Okay, so this is kind of strange. At major shipping hubs, including Los Angeles and Savannah, Georgia, which I didn't know that, logistics professionals have identified intermittent tracking inconsistencies involving cargo containers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You didn't know that Savannah was a major port?
No.
Oh, yeah.
According to industry sources, certain containers appear to temporarily drop out of a digital tracking system, sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours, before reappearing without clear explanation. I'm going to read that again. According to industry sources, certain containers appear to temporarily drop out of digital tracking systems, sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours, before reappearing without explanation. Now, there's no confirmed evidence of theft or missing goods.
I guess my question would be, if it disappeared for minutes or hours, but it didn't disappear from the ship,
We're not sure.
if it was there when the ship arrived, to me, that sounds like a computer glitch or somebody hacking into that computer system to find out what is in each container. They're pulling that data, and maybe it's causing it to fall off the digital track.
See, that's the thing. These gas raise questions about visibility within global supply chains. Modern shipping depends heavily on continuous tracking. Well, that's obvious. You buy something, you want to track it, right?
Right.
When that visibility is interrupted, even briefly, it creates a window where oversight is limited. So people can be putting stuff in that, because that's why nothing's missing. Putting stuff in those containers. Okay, some analysts suggest that inconsistencies could be caused by technical synchronization issue between systems. Others believe that the precision and repetition of the pattern may indicate a more structural vulnerability. No one's talking about this, I think, because of operational impact and security insecurity. You know, or is that vulnerability? I should use that word, because they have. When I read the article, it's insecurity of insecurity. It's more like security and vulnerability.
Right.
You know, obviously the security is not very vulnerable, and I think that's by design. I think that's on both sides of the track, both sides of the people shipping and the people receiving. But everybody's in cahoots, man. Money talks, and the stuff on these containers are walking, or they're being added, or whatever, right?
Does it say in the article anything about when those containers arrive? Weight differential? Were those containers inspected? Was it from one particular company?
It's certain containers, but when I asked what company the containers come from or what country, it does not say. So that's by design as well. They don't want, because then they don't want people going, well, I'm not going to order from this country anymore. I'm not,
Right.
you know, because it's not, obviously, it's not probably not the country's fault.
Right.
It has this issue. That's just a strange one that no one's talking about that. I think that's something we should know about.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now here's one that the world doesn't need to know about. But in my search, it was kind of funny, so I had to pull it. Lake County, Florida.
Yeah, right.
Again,
That's where we live.
Florida, right? A rural property owner woke up on Holy Saturday to find his cattle fence destroyed and a commercial work truck sitting in the middle of his pasture.
Oh my goodness.
Deputies say the truck was not stolen by an outsider. Instead, it was taken by a construction worker who allegedly drove his boss's vehicle straight through the rancher's fencing, spooking livestock and causing significant property damage. Tire tracks led the deputies back to a nearby job site where they located the worker responsible. He was taken into custody without incident. No motive has been released, and the rancher reported no prior conflict with the construction crew. The story appeared only in a small local newspaper with no wider coverage, despite the unusual nature of the incident and thousands of dollars in damage left behind.
Doesn't it say about him being arrested or taken into custody?
Yeah. Taken into custody with no incident.
Name?
No name.
Or we can assume.
No name. That to me sounds like that construction worker had a great time. Good Friday. Maybe ate some fish that made him
So many drinks at the local bar.
Exactly. Had to get to work.
Didn't quite make that turn.
Missed the turn. But that's funny. It's
the
not
bad
funny
part is
for the
I
home.
think it doesn't say whether he had a DUI or nothing, right?
No.
So, but they take him into custody for what? I don't.
Well, here's the
Destroying
crazy-
property, maybe. Okay.
damage to property
Okay.
and
But maybe
potential threat to livestock is
Okay.
one of his charges.
reckless endangerment to livestock or whatever.
Yeah.
But see, there's always it can't be an accident. That tells you it wasn't an accident.
Right.
It tells you there's more to the story.
yeah.
Because if it was truly an accident, there would be no danger to livestock. They'd be like, it was an accident, no big deal.
Right.
His insurance will cover, blah, 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 whatever. But
It probably wouldn't have even been a story.
no, right, because it's something
Nobody
that
would have even known
it'd
about
be
it.
taken care of. So I think it goes on. Again, the driver's something that we don't need to know about. They don't want us to know about. The incident is clearly more deeper than we thought because they're only going to give you so much.
Right.
Right? So I'll take a bet there's something about that. And speaking of bets, my next story, okay, betting and irregularities in lower tier sports. In the world of sports, attention typically centers on major leagues and high profile events. But recent monitoring has highlighted unusual betting patterns in lower tier competitions, including and not limited to leagues connected to organizations such as the NBA G League. Yeah. These patterns are not focused on game outcomes at all. Instead, they involve highly specific in-game events, such as missed free throws, turnover timing, or late scoring margins. Analysts refer to these as micro-event bets. And in some cases, they've seen sudden spikes in activity that don't match typical betting behavior. Lower tier leagues can be more vulnerable to this kind of activity. They often have less oversight, smaller financial structures, and fewer resources dedicated to monitoring integrity risks. How the frick do you manage that? You should know. You know integrity's. You know there's a lack of integrity when you see it. You know what I mean? At this stage, there is no confirmed evidence of coordinated manipulation, like mobs involved or whatever. But historically, irregularities at lower level have sometimes served as early warning signs for broader issues. As with other stories in this episode, the key factor is not confirmation; it's a pattern.
So, we've talked about sports betting, the corruption in sports at the high level, the FIFA level, the NBA, the NFL.
I might be incorrect. Let me jump on that real quick. Pete Rose bet on himself
Correct, and never to lose or do bad.
to do good, and he got
Correct.
banned for life because he whatever, right? So there's these. Tell me this isn't against the law. This is against the law. This is against the sporting. I guess. I hate to use law, but it's wrong because now you have a game.
Well,
It's being set up and fixed, but we think a lot of them are.
It's drilling down to the lower publicized sports so that somebody can put more money in their pocket.
That's all it is.
The fact that there's even betting on things like the NBA G League, these young
Well, the
men,
betting is not the outcome of the game. No one cares who wins. Right? All they care about is turnover times, who's scoring the free throws, are they making the free throws,
right?
Are they making pass attempts? All these things that the player can actually control,
Yeah,
or somewhat try to control.
which is scary.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go from your match-fixing ability story to something that's a little more pulling at the heartstrings over the Easter weekend.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Gas prices quietly disrupt the Easter sports weekend. Something I never really sat down and thought about. So here we go. Finally tonight, a story that slipped beneath the radar during Easter Sunday, but had a real impact on families across Central Florida. Gas prices in the region surged to their highest level in nearly 20 years, hitting just as youth sports tournaments were underway. AAU basketball, regional soccer showcases, high school baseball series, and local martial arts events all reported last-minute withdrawal and reduced rosters. Some games were delayed or canceled entirely as families struggled with the sudden spike in travel costs. Local news briefly mentioned the price surge, but no sports outlets connected it to the disruptions across multiple tournaments. For many families, the holiday weekend wasn't defined by celebrations, but by the simple question of whether they could afford to get their kids to the game. We talked about gas an hour ago. We put gas in the vehicle. We just talked about this. Our gas prices are affecting everything all the way down to Little League sports, to AAU.
But I don't believe, I'm not buying the gas problem.
There's not a gas problem. It's somebody is saying, oh, there's waves over there. We can increase our profit.
That's exactly what's happening.
We know people are going to be traveling this Easter weekend because the economy is good. Exactly.
He has risen and so has gas.
Right. Absolutely pathetic.
And you know what the bad part is, though? It's the good part. People are finally putting their foot down and going, we're not going to that event.
Right.
We're not going to do that.
Yes.
So I think the more that happens, the less chances of these gas prices pummeling. But then again, the heathies or whatever, the people in charge, the hey-hays, they don't care.
No.
Don't go to your event. We don't care. We're going to get paid.
Yep.
So I think it hurts youth sports or whatever, martial arts or whatever was going on, or even events. But I don't have any sympathy for that anyway. Why are you having an event on Easter weekend?
Well, but that's historical.
But it's now because we're moving into the summer months. It's just going to get higher. And then I understand during the last situation we were in, you could blame it on COVID and a bunch of other crap that was going on. You can't blame us on what's the situation in the Middle East right now, because we have our own reserves.
And you've heard President Trump say it. Well, if you have TDR, you might not have heard it. However, President Trump has said on numerous occasions, we take the smallest amount of percentage of oil from the Middle East of any country in the world.
Well, we have to take it for that.
For the
economy.
Free trade and the economy and keeping those countries afloat. Sure. That's why we do it. But to then, for our government to allow prices to go through the roof when there's literally no reason for it other than greed.
Well, the problem is the common person's not going to argue it. We're going to pay the gas.
Right.
See, this kind of happened after World War II. Everybody used to live in a community in a square, real close. Well, after World War II, they had to do something because all the rubber tires, the rubber, Ford, Michelin, all these tire companies and car companies were like, wait a minute. We spent a whole bunch of money during World War II. We made a bunch of money. How do we keep making money? Well, build a town out from the center. Now you have malls to drive to. No more can you just walk into the square or drive a small distance into the town and spend all day in the square and church and eat lunch and hang out. No, they want you to go to the mall where you have to drive, buy tires, buy cars, more money, gas prices go up, OPEC took over, all that. So I think it's all a scheme. And the bad part is we just do it because we're sheep.
And you made a point in the truck when we were driving here to the studio that in America today, if you don't have a vehicle, you struggle in a major way.
Yeah.
You
You really do.
everybody, you have to have a vehicle.
You can't be codependent on somebody else to get you somewhere,
Right.
because you have to have some kind of form of vehicle. I don't care if it's a motorcycle, a car, an e-bike, whatever. You have to have something to get you back and forth, point A to point B. Because point A might be 30 miles from here.
Right.
To get you back to point A, to go to B, might be 30 miles.
Right.
So I think that's a good, fair statement.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a sad state. Once again, another great episode of stories that, unless you really dug deep, you didn't hear about anywhere on mainstream.
and we didn't cuss today, so we're not.
But we're not going to get censored. If you see an error in the way that our episodes were published, we got a little slap on the hand, so we're going to be better.
Stop talking about certain things.
Right. Censorship at its best. Anyway, we appreciate y'all listening. We'll be back again with another episode.
Remember to be kind. Always be kind.
Have a great day.
See ya.